Okay, so this is the final countdown. Da-na-na-na. It is T minus 8, almost a week away. And so the fact checks and the videos and my overall website is everything's there on the website, crapnow.org. C.R.A.P actually stands for Comprehensive Reform of American Politics. So that's what where all the information is. This night's the first couple ones we're gonna be on. We're on Trump. This is gonna be on Biden. There are orders of magnitude difference in the volumes of lies told between the two candidates. It's just the way it is. It's not just that subjective statement. Hundreds of journalists back that up, and even Daniel Dale, who is the primo fact checker, was saying something similar after the first night of the Republican convention. He was saying that the number of lies in 4 nights of the full Democratic convention didn't match up to a single night of the Republican convention. So basically, Trump says things. His supporters basically repeat that stuff, and so the volumes are different. But Biden does his share, so this one will focus on that. The first one will be a Hunter Biden topic, and not because it's the most important item in the presidential campaign, but it's the number one attacking point for Trump, and the supporters basically they're hitting him on that. So the first statement is on Hunter Biden.
About those relationships inappropriate or unethical?
Nothing was unethical. Here's what the deal. With regard to Ukraine, we had this whole question about whether or not, because he was on the board, I later learned of a Burisma, a company, that somehow I had done something wrong. Yet every single solitary person, when he was going through his impeachment, testifying under oath who worked for him, said, I did my job impeccably. I carried out U.S. policy. Not one single solitary thing was out of line. Not a single thing. Number one.
All right, so Joe Biden, naturally, or not naturally, but he does say there was nothing unethical about what happened. That's actually not true as far as ethics goes. And there's many who will say that having your son serve in some type of a role in a foreign country for a foreign corporation when your father is the senior diplomat in charge of that is a conflict of interest. And conflict of interest is not always a direct conflict. It can be the appearance of a conflict. So there's no proven fact that Joe Biden made decisions on behalf of his son. There's no proven fact to that in that case. However, it was unethical, and many people say it, and even the former ambassador to Ukraine under Clinton, and he was a deputy assistant secretary of state, I think, under Bush. He basically said it raised a lot of ethics concerns, and many will tell you that. So Joe Biden is basically lying when he says that. That is not true. So the facts kind of bear that out. There's a little bit more information on that as well, but that's the number one element. Number 2 and 3 are going to be about healthcare, and so I'll roll those ones and then get into that. But it has to do with the number of people losing their insurance.
Over 10 million people have lost their private insurance, and he wants to take away 22 million more people who have it under Obamacare, and over 110 million people with pre-existing conditions, and all the people from COVID are going to have pre-existing conditions. What are they going to do?
So that information is misleading, I think, and it could be false, but there's a lot of confusion on this stuff, and it's difficult to predict, really. So that's why I don't call it an outright lie. But basically, 10 million people, I think, is the projection of people who could lose their insurance under or due to COVID. So that is one of the numbers. The 20 million refers to probably the number of people who gained insurance under the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare, and then in Biden's mind would potentially then lose that. And then 100 million probably getting to the rest of the number of insured people. So by saying all those people would lose insurance is false, and the Congressional Budget Office, this is a few years back in 2017, but they basically said, okay, well, if you can do a repeal and not replace of the Affordable Care Act, that about 32 million people would lose their insurance. So that's that's a fact. That's a few years old, but it's still the case. So. The next item on the healthcare stuff is having to do with whether or not people lost insurance under the Affordable Care Act.
Not one single person with private insurance would lose their insurance under my plan, nor did they under Obamacare. They did not lose their insurance unless they chose they wanted to go to something else. Lastly, we're going to make sure we're in a situation
So this is another big point that gets discussed is basically the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare, and Biden actually outright says that no one lost insurance under the Affordable Care Act. So ultimately, that could be correct because there's more people insured at the end of their administration than there were before because of the Affordable Care Act. However, when it came out, there were millions who did lose their insurance. Fox News said it was about 4.7 million. Other people just say several million, but many people lost it. So the selling point was if you like your insurance, you can keep your insurance. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. That was not the case initially, and so several million did lose their insurance because they didn't meet and I think this is the initial rolling out in 2014 because they didn't meet the minimum standards. So that is true. Now, ultimately, at the end, there was more people insured than there were in the beginning. So the next item then is having to do with Biden misquoting or using out of context quote of Mitch McConnell. Okay, so this shows how I'm not a professional doing this. I don't have that quote on video, so I will read it to you. It sounds like a let them eat cake type of thing, but basically Biden quoted Mitch McConnell saying, let them go bankrupt about the cities and the states that have lost revenue as a result of the pandemic. So basically it sounds like, just to heck with them, is the way that Biden was phrasing it. However, the correct context was basically the bankruptcy should be illegal financial options for states who already had some other kinds of financial problems. So it wasn't that draconian. So that was it was a lie by using something out of context. So then the next item, which is having to do with China, or the China travel ban.
Strategies to handling
He thought
this.
I shouldn't have closed the border.
Well,
That's obvious.
Do you want to respond to that quickly, Vice President
No.
Biden? Okay.
So that's it's not the exact quote I was talking about, but it's just a funny one. I think if we could keep the candidates to one-word answers for all debates, it would just be awesome. But the real quote was that Biden was exaggerating something and saying something wasn't true. Trump did implement the China travel ban around the same time as 40 other countries. So just say it. That's the point. Is that hey, even if it's a fact that benefits your opponent, just say it. Acknowledge that. So he did act early, maybe not early enough in the mind of many experts, and not completely enough because 40,000 people still went back and forth, and the effectiveness of that and the Europe travel ban was in question. But the facts are there was 40 other countries that did it around the same time. Similar for Trump, he greatly exaggerates how early he did it, and he basically that's his linchpin for how successful a leader he is with regards to COVID because he did an early China travel ban. So both candidates are misrepresenting that, but Biden there. So that is it for this one. So all the data stuff, the full facts files on crapnow.org, and then go to the facts page, and then the videos are on the videos page. And then the next one, the final countdown thing, I think will be probably doing a greatest hits comparison of both of the two. So that's it. Time for the final countdown.